Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's podcast on YouTube. Featured on YouTube, my name is Cassandra Vaynerchuk, and we are here at my lovely, humble abode, and we are on the back porch. My name is Cassandra Vaynerchuk. Today's podcast is called Purpose at Work for a Purposeful Life. And today we're going to just speak into conversation how you are in one area of your life is how you are in all areas of your life. So there's often the discussion about leave your work at work or leave your home life at the door. However, you never shut yourself off from being yourself, so it's almost virtually impossible to understand the concept of what people speak of unless you've evolved yourself into understanding what it actually means. How you are in one area of your life is how you are in all areas of your life. So if you are all areas, same way in all areas of your life, then you react similarly at work as you do at home. However, you have a personality that you utilize at work versus how you are at home as well. But you still react to the same situations in the same ways. It shows up in suppression form, in a well-behaved environment, as there are repercussions for your actions at work. If you were to scream and yell at your boss like you would scream and yell at your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, your husband, your wife, your kids. So you want to understand that oftentimes we take our work home, and you may not significantly see that reaction, but you are still doing it. It's in an energy sense of feeling. And that goes for what happens at your house, like your home life. It does carry on off into your work environment, decreasing productivity, decreasing your passion for your work, and hindering the business itself. So there has to be a new discussion in finding purpose at work for a purposeful life, because in my experience, if you take your work environment and you use it as a playing ground of education, you actually could create a better relationship with your family at home, because how you are at work is more along the lines of how you want to be in a well-behaved manner. So consider that for a moment. How you are at work is really more like how you want to be with your wife, your husband, your kids. You want to be more like, you don't want things to bother you as much, right? If you can find purpose in things, you'll be able to develop a skill where you find purpose at work and purpose at home, because we get lazy at home. And when you get lazy at a job, it means you don't like your job. So let's start with the foundational piece of finding enjoyment in the things that surround us. That means the job itself and the person you're married to. I want to remind everybody that when your children hit 18, 19, 20, 22, they leave home and you're stuck with that person that you married. So this is a multidimensional conversation that's going to be challenging for a lot of mothers and fathers out there, because you put a lot of time and effort and energy into attention. This is the old way of thinking, by the way, into raising a child. However, when they hit 18 and self-sustaining, they're always your child. However, you have to let them go. And you have to let them make mistakes. You have to let them find their purposeful life. When it comes to finding purpose at work, it's mandatory. It's a must that you must find a job you find enjoyment in. Meaning, if you don't like doing social media, you shouldn't be doing social media. If you don't like people, you should not be being on social media. The whole point of social media is to be social and help others. Social. Being social with yourself isn't being social. The new age generation doesn't understand what social means. They think social is attention. So we had a pretty linear way of existing in the past. However, it's becoming more multidimensional in conceptual versus contextual in an environment, because we're creating these images and fake personalities when we're at home, we're at work, and it's expanded to what it used to be because we have an act. The act gets us through the day at a job with strangers. An act at home gets you out of trouble when you've done something bad with your wife. For example, I don't understand. I know if I act like I don't understand, that I won't have to take responsibility for that thing, and it'll get me off the hook. So it's a big deal when it comes to your home life, but consider that how you are at home is how you are at work. Now imagine if you could address yourself in a way that's taking responsibility for actions and starting a process of learning how to take responsibility. Because with responsibility, in the way that you view responsibility, comes guilt for those of you who experience responsibility as a human being. There's no reason for that feeling of guilt. However, a person over there can put guilt upon you. That's in your work environment, and that's in your home environment. However, you want to be grounded and human, meaning taking responsibility means owning the fact that you did something wrong. You see what you did. You ask for forgiveness. This is for someone worth working out in time with. Meaning some people are just worthy of letting it go and saying, goodbye, I don't care. See, those are the people that are going to stew energy all over you. It happens in work and it happens at home. You want to understand, enjoyment of work is your purposeful beginning stages. But now you're dealing with people, whether you're in any environment, whether you own a business, whether you make a product, it doesn't matter. You're working with people, unless you're like a writer living in a closet. But even then, you're delivering messages across the paper onto a platform that involves people. So you're still dealing with energy. If you are on this planet, you are dealing with people. So for someone to say that they don't like people is it's like the worst thing you could ever say, especially if you're in business. I worked at a Rite Aid for one day. All my friends were really rich. I realized I didn't like people, and I wanted to be an actress instead. So I just quit my job because my parents were really rich. And then I went on the search for a man to pay my way to the top. And that's what we're dealing with these social media influencers. Finding a purposeful life by finding purpose at work. Most people who are in the entrepreneur sector are in business to make money. And my goal is to change the narrative on that. Because I'm a firm believer, if people operate on a level of kind-heartedness and goodness for others, that you are rewarded by your behavior. Because the conversation that these bad guys are saying is, like, they say the things that are majestically true. Like attracts like. In voluminous form. So if we have a bunch of mean people running around on the platform, then we've got a lot of mean people working on the platform in entrepreneur sectors. That's what we have going on right now. So consider your purpose in your work at this time is you found your enjoyment, and now you have to reconfigure the energy in your space to feel empowered, to be confident, to learn how to not let other people's low energy frequency, like the Democrats even, stop you from producing, stopping you from enjoying your life, stopping you for what your purpose is. If you want to get a little bit more distinct in what I'm speaking of with a purposeful work environment, is why are you here on this planet, and what are your strengths, and what do you consider weaknesses? And what are you willing to work on at this moment? Because sometimes people in this moment are ready to work on patience, which is something everyone should always be working on. Otherwise, you're one of them. However, sometimes people aren't willing to work on confidence at this time. So what does that mean? Confidence looks like standing in front of a group of 50 people and speaking and doing a speaking engagement. That's not something you're ready to do yet. So you're not ready to do that yet, but with what your dreams and goals are, you will be expected to do that. So you want to understand that now's the time to start practicing for the future. What does that mean? It just means conversating, right? Your purpose is to look to see what work in your personal life that you need to accomplish to get you to the dream and that goal. Now, a lot of people think dreams are pie in the sky, and then they manipulate their way to the top. That's like coming up from the top and swooping down like an eagle or a hawk as you grab your prey. The better way to do this, because you want to be grounded, and this is how you create the happiest, purposeful, purpose at work, purposeful life, as you will be spending most of your time working, is coming up from the bottom. That way is the hardest way. It's the most challenging way. However, that is the most thrilling. It's called the purpose. It's called the process. It's called being in the dirt. It's called why we're here. It's called shifting the energy. It's called actually learning the work. See, a lot of these people on here are just regurgitators, and I've had this conversation on many of my other videos in short form on my TikTok platform on how bad it is to just be a regurgitator. Meaning as God's channel, it's hard for me to experience not embodying something, but I'm going to try to give you an example of, let's say, a nurse who is like not even one day into her program, and she's now going around and trying to educate people on how to be a nurse. I'm now going to teach new nurses how to be nurses, because I was a CNA for like 2 days. Or even someone who's been in the field for 10 years, such as dental hygiene, and now you're going to teach people about dental hygiene. However, you never liked dental hygiene, and you didn't understand any of the facts around dental hygiene, but now you're going to teach that to other people, because it's not those who can't teach when it comes to medical. When it comes to a lot of things, it's never those who can't teach. It's those who know how to teach, or those who know how to do the job teach. Those who know how to embody the work teach it. Because we're passing information. This is what people don't understand, is we're passing information down like a legacy from one generation to the next generation, to the next generation, to the next generation. Purpose at work. Versus making up garbage, spewing it because you saw one video, not understanding it, only utilizing it as content to produce an income, and then walking away to the bank and cashing the check. That's called the demise of society. When you can figure out purpose at work with your purposeful life, you can create happiness even in the biggest breakdowns. Meaning the biggest breakdowns will just be a breakdown. And usually it's a breakdown for someone else. Because what becomes restorative integrity as it evolves in your existence, molehills used to be mountains, or mountains used to be molehills. It goes like that. Molehills become mountains, and then mountains become molehills. And then it just becomes something that's part of your job. So it's like standing in front of a group of 2,000 people. Used to look very scary, and now it's just like, okay, well, here we go. It's like, okay, I'm about to go on stage. What are we going to talk about? I don't know. Let God talk. You start, and I'll just join. I mean, I don't know. Shoot. I mean, you love it. You think it's exciting to be on spot. When you find purpose at work, it can also look like leadership roles, meaning you can see over there. This is also a very significant role of somebody who can see their purpose at work, is to educate the people around them, to rein people in, to say that what you're doing isn't right, and learning how to operate amongst diabolical behavior and calling people out. See, the difference between calling someone out with the intent to assist them versus trying to be the big man on campus. Purpose at work. See, a person with a purposeful life, with a purpose, knows the difference. So the pre-stages to finding your purpose at work is actual real work of kind of looking as a circle. It's like it is a circle of like configuring yourself in your presentation of the work too. So it'll be your presentation of the work. It'll be recognizing others out of integrities. It'll be this is not something that can be taught in verbiage. Because if you think that it's taught in verbiage, like me just talking to you like this, I'm educating you in a way to enlighten you to how to get there. But the work is the work. It's the point of the process. So most people stand at the microphone and they're like, yeah, I want to know how I can grow and be a people person. That's the lack of leadership. That's somebody who doesn't have leadership. You can tell because they talked about money in their conversation. They almost cried at the microphone. And then they recognized money again as a prominent point in their speech. So when you're learning this process of advancement, you're going to start recognizing traits in people that are nasty traits that they'll claim as ambition. But when the way people get to that ambition is running people over and abusing them, living a purposeless life because they're focused on money that's masked as wanting to help people, wanting to have culture around people, which really is them saying that they want to be like listened to in a way that's worship like. So there's a fine line between someone who's trying to control a community and someone who's trying to create a community. See, what happens often in a community is if you do decide to sit back and allow people to interact in a community, there's always someone in the group who's going to want to try to take control. That's when your purpose at work steps in and you need to handle it. See, a lot of these people who sit in the background are actually the real leaders. However, they don't have the gumption or the push and energy to stomp out that garbage. So you can do that at work. Think about ways in your life when things aren't going well, that you can transmute that experience of confidence, of communication with your partner, with your kids. But not only that, you're educating. So what you learn at work is what you teach at home. What you learn at work is what you teach at home. And it's a little more challenging. I would say it's more challenging to do this work at home, especially if someone is recognized you as a certain way when you were 19 and now you're 43, 42 years old and you've done a lot of different work. They want to still relate to you as if you were 19 years old. And then those conversations of them trying to treat you like that will actually take you back to you being 19 years old. Even though you're a public speaker for thousands and thousands of people. And that's just kind of family. You know, so those are, and the configuration is figuring out whether you want to speak up about it, or if you just want to accept things how they are and your reaction to that thing. A purpose at work creates a purposeful life. You can experience yourself being stopped by people often and trying to, like, you're trying to educate in communication, however, they're not accepting of your transferring of communication. And so then they push upon you old ways of thinking because that's all they know. So you have to accept them for where they're at and then just move on. So it's like just being in a space and knowing that there's two ways of acting. There's fear-based, or there's just love. And then you try to look at the experiences of all the positive that person represented for you growing up, what they taught you, because everybody has their uniqueness of education. We've talked about this. Everybody's on their own journey, which is the challenging part sometimes. Some people are dealing with illness, which is then where you come in with compassion and empathy. All traits that can be learned by working with people you cannot stand at your job. And we all have those. We all have people at work that we can't stand. The cool thing about me and my family is, you know, you can go in a space of, I can't stand you. And you're like, but, you know, I really actually love you. You're the best. You know, so each individual family is unique to those characteristics also. So that's the mini series on purposeful life, finding purpose at work. And then you're maneuvering in and out of conversations, which is basically creative content. You know, if you're 20 years old, you will not get this until later on in life. However, now you're in the awareness game of it, and now you're on a real journey of getting somewhere, right? I mean, the first step is unfolding that blind spot to show you your areas of out of integrity. Those are your responsibilities to clean up. If you go to a motivational speaker and you think that they're going to heal you as you stand on the stage, they might heal you for one instant while you're speaking to them, but as soon as you walk away, you're going to revisit that same emotion until you can figure out how to transmute the energy. That is why this transformative work is so challenging. And if you're not up to the game of transformation, then you're not up to life. And it can look a little different because in the old days, we were evolving this information. We all had perspectives on the information. Some of the best teachers out there I promote on this platform: Jim Rohn, Bob Proctor, Wayne Dyer, Louise Hay. Colonel Prouty is an example of a very educational. He's a political educator of what politics looks like. Let's see, Gary Vaynerchuk is an example of an excellent teacher who's lived in the dirt. Brad Lee's an example. And then we have some up and comings who are still learning the process. However, they're on. Some people are just beginning their journey, and that's okay too. But we all go back to purpose at work and being open to finding purpose at work. And that's where we bring in boundaries. So when I'm speaking, I want you to be very aware of that we're always incorporating boundaries as a forefront, as well as always engaging the multidimensional aspects of the existence of humanity. Evolving the education, not like as in we're listening to this piece of content and then forgetting about boundaries. Now we're listening to this piece of content while incorporating the advancement levels of other creative videos, contextual videos of evolution of education. This is college, this is how college works. This is why some people don't understand why college is important. College teaches you how to create the neurological pathways. Even if you just got a general studies, or even if you took a few classes at college, you should learn how to study. It will actually advance you in your life when it comes to business, working with people, learning business skills, etc., etc., etc. Every experience in life is a lesson. Even college. And if you've got a good teacher who cares about history, which is the drama of the past, you could really look at it like that. Or English, or reading people's works from the past, it helps us bring in those people's. I mean, let's take a look at this for a second. And we're kind of digressing, but we're almost done with this small podcast here. I don't know why the Canterbury Tales came up for me. I don't really remember reading the Canterbury Tales. I think my mom had a book of the Canterbury Tales, which is hard for me to get into. However, it takes a look at the evolution of the English language, and it will entice you to be inspired to create stories, to show you how to write a story, to inspire you to get creative. So it connects you to the past, and it connects you to the present, and it actually shows you how we're not that much different from where we used to be than where we are today, and the way that we handled situations. It's just today we have more access to reaching to millions of people. So it's very important to take an English college class, and to take a history class, and to take a gym class, and to take all these classes. And then really to get an idea of what you want to do. Because not everybody's going to be a social media influencer. Not everybody likes it. It's a lot of work, y'all. It's not just producing content. There's a lot of responsibility with it. And the problem is these folks on here don't understand the responsibility, nor do they actually care. When you're standing on a TikTok video and you're sipping a drink cup, and then that's your whole MO, because you got a brand deal because you're in a bikini, tell me in 50 years how, if that is the source of your inspiration, where we will be as a society. That's why it's important to have purpose at work, to put the right ones in the lead. Because people like that, when the right one's in charge, they'll just disappear. They'll just disappear because they don't have anything to offer. That you just got sideswiped by an illusion of life or something. And there's millions of people on here, women, who are promoting that type of behavior, and the men that follow. So that's my podcast for this morning, of my content of Purpose at Work for a Purposeful Life. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you will continue to follow. Thank you very much. My name is Cassandra Vaynerchuk, and with a little bit of you and a little bit of me, we're changing the internet, whether they like it or not.